Studios from the studio are here to see you.
All right, send them in.
They're kind of impatient.
Georgie! Look, George, we know you're busy prepping the new Star Wars TV series and blah, 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 blah.
And we prepared a couple of ideas for you.
I'm sorry?
A couple of ideas.
Don't worry, Georgie.
You're gonna love it. Got it all worked out. It's gonna be a big smash hit.
Fine. Just get on with it.
Okay. Georgie, check this out.
Negative, Andrew. Just lost 10. 4-4. Get that grid up now. The fleet is leaving in 5 minutes with or without you.
Alright, come on, let's go!
It's over, Agent James. Give us the goods. There's no escape. Give us the Doritos.
Oh, honey. I think I'd actually prefer the Cool Ranch Doritos if you don't mind. Oh,
Counterterrorism czar Richard Clark calls an emergency meeting of the Counterterrorism Security Group.
What do you got? A report from the Pentagon says it was an explosion due to refueling, but we're getting more and more reports that's making it look like an attack.
That's got to be Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
What have you guys got?
48 hours after the skydiving death of ex-cop Drew Thornton, the FBI took over the case. Drew, however, was wary.
All I'm asking for is a couple of hours.
Harder than this. Don't do this. I didn't kill anybody. You didn't kill anybody. No, baby. Hey, George, are
The details, folks. Okay? Everything is in the details. Please tell me we're done. Okay? See y'all tomorrow. Get some sleep.
Welcome to Buzz Talk Live, Industry Perspective. Born in Rochester, New York, my guest tonight, Matt Mickelson, started working in the Baltimore, D.C. market beltway, working in news, shooting documentaries, and corporate industrials. Matt is now an actor, director, and DP in New York. From his experience in working in TV, documentaries, motion pictures, and directing award-winning short films for over a decade, Matt is also a producer at Lucky Dog Productions and has developed fan-based short films on Star Wars, an idea started with his children in 2014, and a Blade Runner short that picks up after 10 years after the original film. A knack to imitate famous voices and mannerisms like Harrison Ford, Matt has repeatedly worked to involve himself in projects that tell a story that creates actual positive change in the way we live our lives. Remember to use that chat, and please welcome Matt to the show. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, how you doing, George? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. All good? All good?
Yeah, I feel good.
Okay, good. Where are we tonight, Matt?
Where am I physically?
Where are you? Where are we remoting?
Oh, well, I am coming to you live from Ossining, New York.
Oh, wow. You're not in the jail, are you?
Now, well, I'm usually when I see you on my work release, so, you know, they let you out once in a while if you're nice, you know, or if you know where the secret doors are. No, yeah, but well, that place is pretty cruel. So if you're ever leaving the train station,
I've never been and never plan on going.
It's right next to the train station. So if you're thinking about taking the train to go rob a bank, you know, you're going to get a free ride right back there the rest of your life. Or
All
something.
right. Well, but you grew up in Rochester.
Yeah. June, July, winter.
Really cold up there, Matt.
Just a little bit.
All of your life?
Yeah, until my teens. And then I, after a year of college, I decided to enlist in the U.S. Navy and go see the tropics and all that kind of stuff. And then they sent me to boot camp to Great Lakes, Illinois in the middle of winter.
Oh boy.
And that's colder than Rochester. So that was,
so how did this whole filmmaking and how did you involve yourself with that craft?
Well, I mean, actually, after military service, I went back to school, and I was going to school for history. And one of my fellow students said, "Hey, man, you got a great voice. You should really do TV or movies or something. They got a TV program here, right?" And I'm like, "What?" It was this big. I mean, so
there you go. I mean,
so I went and talked to them, and they had like a little TV studio and some.
And you got the bug.
Cameras and yeah, I got the bug. It's like, yeah, I could do this, no problem.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Baltimore, I started working right away in the industry, freelancing, mainly camera work. Once in a while, I got in front of the camera, reporting and whatnot. But I didn't actually really get into the acting thing until my early 30s, when I went to an acting class to give my buddy some moral support, and the people running the class were like, "Hey, you're doing a really good job. We're doing a play. Would you want to be in it?" And I'm like, "Oh,
wow.
Okay."
That's a big
And they're
step.
like, "Hey, if you could choke down a play, you could do just about anything." So I thought, well, why the heck not? Because I always put the acting thing up. I deep down, I knew I wanted to do it, but where I grew up, it was like, if you weren't a cop, a doctor, or a fireman, there's not many other choices for you, and you better just suck up.
Working class neighborhood, the whole cop fireman thing, right? Yeah, sure.
And any hopes and dreams you might have of doing something creative, well, it's for those people, not you.
You just grew up in the wrong place.
Pretty much, I
mean, you got to make you got to make the hay where you are, right? And if it's the creative juices that flow where you are, then so be it. That's what I did. I mean, growing up in Flushing, I just had James Lorenz on last night or the night before, and we just took the bull by the horns, and a lot of what after looking at your stuff and seeing what you do, it's very similar as far as what we did when we started our little career path, but with the tools today, you're more advanced, but
well, yeah, I mean, the tools today have really democratized.
Oh my God, yeah, it's crazy.
I guess is the term. But you know what? I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. There's a lot of bad stuff out there.
Yeah.
But up until like 10 years ago, if you wanted to make a movie or a short film or anything like that, you had to have $25,000 to start, because that's how much just the film costs. And that doesn't mean feeding people and hiring an audio guy and hiring a director of photography. That's just for the stuff that goes in the camera. And now it's a totally different ballgame. You can get started for a couple of $100s.
It's amazing. Yeah. And the technology, ever since HD came out, I mean, not to get really technical, but it was a game changer, in that respect. But I can't help noticing you got some guitars in the background over there.
Yeah, man.
What's up with that? I didn't even know you played.
Oh yeah, when I was like 16 or 17, my older sister was dating this guy who looked like Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen, and he played in the band, and he played, Van Halen. Like, I mean, the guy was a classical pianist, so he took the guitar really easily, just like Eddie Van Halen, and he showed me a few things. I'm like, wow, I got to make that noise. That's what I got to do,
Right,
so I bought the cheapest guitar I could find and started making noise with it, and and tried to be in a couple of bands in high school, but everyone was trying to learn the hardest stuff, as opposed to some friends of mine who are still working in music today that went to punk rock, which is the easiest stuff. But they figured, hey, if I can learn this easy stuff, I could start playing gigs tomorrow, as opposed to the rest of us trying to learn, Ozzy Osbourne songs,
Sure,
for 10 years. And then by the time you're 30, you get it, so.
So Matt, one of the cool things about this this broadcast and the streaming thing is the chats, and I asked people to chat in questions, and I do have a chat up there already.
Really?
It's from Billy Senia. He says, ask Matt if he knew Alan Charles, Tyron Burden and Charles advertising agency, commercials only. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if
maybe. I don't know.
He did a Dorito spot. I mean, I don't know if that was maybe
in Baltimore, DC. It was kind of weird because everybody knew everybody because it was such a small market. So like the grips that are working on The Wire and Homicide on the Street, and when that show's not shooting, they're working on TV commercials.
Yeah, sure.
Or they're lighting something for news, or so
he just confirmed it's Baltimore. He confirmed
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was like Spicer, which was a production house, and a couple other places. Flight 3, I think it was called, was a big studio.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that
80s and 90s specifically. That's what he said.
Yeah, I came in like at the way late 90s.
Oh, okay.
So, and the thing is, you could be, a PA on Homicide: Life on the Street one day, and then you get an acting gig on a furniture commercial, and it's the same guys lighting the set. They're like, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be getting somebody a cup of coffee? It's like, no, I'm the actor today.
Oh my God.
So I mean, it was a lot easier to get involved with the movie TV scene there, just because it wasn't that
smaller
big
market,
and they, between DC and Baltimore, when at their height, they can only facilitate 3 crews of say 50 people. So if there's 3 big shows going on,
right,
there's not a lot of people available, and it's easier to get in because they need people.
It's a good place to hone your craft, and you get thrown into a big market like New York or LA or Chicago or even like Texas. I think I don't know, but those are bigger markets, and you kind of get lost in the shuffle where doing it with that approach, and you become better for it. But
so I feel like New York especially is very siloed. This has just been my experience. I could be totally wrong. I don't know, but I just feel like that it's hard to get to know, like, say, people on Blue Bloods, and then people that do concerts, and people that do, they're all in their specific channels. And like all the TV people, like the people that work on the different shows don't know the other people working on the movies or working on the other shows.
Right.
They just know their people. And people working on events and concerts don't know TV people, and TV people don't know them. They don't cross paths like they do in the smaller markets. And that's one thing that was difficult for me in New York, is just finding people, because nobody wants to be found. I think,
nobody wants to be found.
Everybody wants you to somehow magically be introduced to somebody you meet at a bar that knows their Uncle Joey that works on Blue Bloods that can get you in, or something.
Right.
It's not the kind of thing where you just call and send them your resume, and or is it? I don't know.
He's asking Baltimore Barry Levinson. Yeah, ever work?
Oh yeah. I worked on Liberty Heights.
Liberty Heights. Okay.
Which was about this kid in 1955 Baltimore, Jewish kid, and his older brother wants to date a Catholic girl, and in Baltimore in the 50s there was literally a line, Falls Road, which ran along the river, which is now Route 83, was the dividing line between the Jewish population on the left and the Christian Catholic population on the right.
Is that right?
And they didn't meet much. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so back then, like a line in the movie that's hilarious, the Jewish kids go over to the Catholic girl's house, which is huge. And the Jewish kid's like, what do you mean they have money? Look, they don't even have wall-to-wall carpet. And that's totally true. I mean, just as far as the mindset,
That's pretty
it's just
funny.
not classy,
Yeah, right.
But
right.
it's very waspy on the right side and very Jewish on the left side. And it's a really neat town because it has so much character, and it's still a microcosm of so many different things. And it's dangerous in parts, but unless you're like selling, buying, or dealing heroin and crack, you're not going to see any of the violence, unless you insert yourself into it.
So, I mean, after working in all that, and now you have a family. So now it's like you're a father of 2 children, correct?
Yeah.
And now, how did this whole Star Wars thing happen?
Oh,
I mean,
man.
this is crazy. I know that there's people that do this. I never knew that this has been done, and people are doing this fan films.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about it.
Well, actually, my first involvement in fan films is I met this DC filmmaker, Shane. What was Shane's last name? Shane. I can't think of it right now for some reason. But
okay.
He's this really super talented guy, and he was an Avid editing teacher. Avid's like the top tier edit system that kind of started the whole linear editing thing. And he was making a fan film about Fox executives pitching George Lucas bad ideas based on 70s TV shows, but with a Star Wars twist.
Oh, wow.
And so George Lucas, so he had all these cosplayers, which are the people that make the costumes and go to conventions dressed up as their favorite character. And some of these characters have like 10, 15 grand in their costume. Like the Darth Vader guy has to make his own buttons and stuff light up, and his sound effects, so you get the full effect.
Crazy.
And these people, that's their hobby. You know?
Yeah. It's to do such a high tech and pull it off the way you did.
And this was 2006. This was not easy at the time. It was 3D rendering and stuff like that was not a simple thing. It's still not, but it was a lot harder back then.
So
Shane
let me just jump ahead or behind. I don't know how you want to call it, but Blade Runner, the movie that was made in 1982 with Harrison Ford and Rutger Hauer and Sean, what's the woman's name?
Sean Young.
Sean Young. Big Ridley Scott film at the time.
Yeah.
That where that came on the heels several years later, like 10 years later or so, from Star Wars. So now Star Wars is made this film that at the time was really cutting edge, in the late 70s.
Yeah. But actually Blade Runner came out, Empire Strikes Back came out, then Indiana Jones, then Blade Runner. So you were hit with these 3 big Harrison Ford movies in a row.
Yeah.
So, Empire Strikes Back comes out, of course, and it's Han Solo, yay. And Indiana Jones comes out, which is a very similar character. And then Blade Runner comes out, and everyone's expecting to see Han Solo, just kind of having fun.
Right.
And it's this really dark, depressing film noir, with Harrison.
I loved Blade Runner. I loved it.
So do I. So do I.
It was great.
People went to go see it, and they're like, I don't know this isn't Star Wars. And they don't understand that, he can do more than one thing. What
was that movie with Bruce Willis where he was a taxi cab driver? What was that name again? Oh, God.
The Fifth Element.
What is it? No, Fifth
Element.
Fifth Element.
Yeah.
That, I mean, had a feel of Blade Runner to it. Had a feel.
Well, everything after Blade Runner had a feel.
I guess.
The filmmaker community recognized the brilliance of Blade Runner, but it took the general public a few years to go, wait a minute, that movie was really important. Let's go back and watch that again. Holy crap. And all of a sudden this uprise of this underground fan base started. And the movie started making money like 10 years after it was gone. and just because the studios, dragged it out of the theater before it found an audience.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
even Jerry Seinfeld was on TV for a year before it found an audience.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, that was a very dry show, and then all of a sudden, boom, it took off.
Well,
like
I mean, they
crazy.
were going to cancel it, and they're like, just leave it on for a little bit longer, and then,
So getting back to the fan film of Star Wars, with your children, how did this all come to be with your kids?
Well, I'll tell you, I had just I had stopped work on the Blade Runner project for reasons I'll talk about in a minute. But so I was itching to do something, and my kids came to me one winter break, and they wanted to play around with the green screen, like jump up and down in front of it and all that stuff. But that's a lot of work for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm
like, I'm going to set
big
this
toy
thing
to
up.
have.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I do it, then Dad's got to light it and think of something to do.
Right.
I got to put it in the computer, and they'll be excited for about 3 minutes, and then they'll be done with it. Which is kids do. I want the toy, and then you get them the toy, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. Next."
Yeah, next. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, let's make this interesting. Let's make a little Star Wars movie, and they said, "Yay!" And so that gave me the green light.
So they liked Star Wars, obviously. I mean,
oh yeah. They already liked it. They knew Dad liked it, and they knew it would be fun.
And they knew the characters, and so.
Yeah. So I'm like, how about Han Solo? Because I could do Harrison Ford. Han Solo and his kids, you guys, doesn't matter if it's canon or not. I don't care. Right. And how about Han Solo and his kids are just zipping around the galaxy, getting in trouble? That's what they do anyway, right? Because the basic Star Wars plots are, the good guys get caught, they get away, they get caught, and they get away again, and the end of story. Right. So it's pretty basic. So, I knew like stuff in the cockpit and stuff walking around. It was really easy to come up with some kind of plot that made them have to go to one place to another. And what they would say in the cockpit, like, you better check the rear damper and make sure you're angling the deflector shield.
Right.
I don't know what it means, but it's stuff they've said before, so it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And other doodads you want to make up that are on the ship. And so we acted out these little scenes. We'd kind of improv them, or I'd write a little script or, of lines that we could throw back and forth to each other. And, kids are brilliant. Mm-hmm. They don't think too much about the lines. You just throw it at them and they throw it back, because when they're playing
it's amazing
together,
the retention span and that they just do it.
Well, that's why, like most child actors that you meet, they're the one on the set that like know the whole script.
Yeah.
The adults come in knowing their scene, right. But the kids got the whole script memorized. So yeah, it was really easy to put those little things together, and so I put it in the computer and I started to find backgrounds. Like on Google Images,
right.
Cloud City, landing pad at Cloud City, Tatooine, the pictures of, the docking bay where the ship is, and I would find high resolution pictures that I could put in as backgrounds. And then I started finding animated ships on YouTube that were on green screen, and they were free. They're made by these companies that say, hey, you could buy these action packs, or you could just download this shot that we made. So
now,
I did.
Let me ask you that the licensing of Star Wars, the imaging, and the name, using the name in anything, is that more is it okay, or is it just guerrilla? You just do it, or I mean,
well. It's a little bit of both. I watched a bunch of. I started to discover that there's a lot of fan films out there, besides the one my friend did, and some of them are not good. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are pretty darn good, but there's a lot of them that they. See, George Lucas has this thing, and it's his thing that.
Right.
If you want to make a Star Wars movie, have a blast. But don't make any money on it. Don't sell
Right.
tickets.
So it's
don't.
if it's for
Exactly.
advertising purposes, right? Yeah, you can't.
Because he knows people love it. He knows
right.
it's fun for people, and for a lot of these people, it's almost a religion.
It
that's
really
why
is. It really
when
is.
People screw up their movies. You know what I mean?
I mean, when the Ziegfeld used to still be around in Manhattan, they used to be lined up around the block and dressed up in costumes for the release of the new Star Wars film. It blew me away. I mean, the following that film has over the years.
And I think it's not just a movie because it gives people so much hope, like when it did when it came out. Because that was the main thing. It made people feel good when they came out of the theater because everything else that they were seeing was like Apocalypse Now and Herbie the Love Bug, and because you remember back in the 70s that if you missed a movie like the first hour, you could sit there and wait for the the movie to roll again, and you could see the first hour, and they didn't care if you sat around because there was no such thing as a blockbuster. Movies weren't all that great, or amazing, or they didn't. They helped you forget about your life for 2 hours, but they didn't leave you elated for the next week, like this movie did. So it affected.
I have a picture up of you in the what is it, the Falcon?
Millennium Falcon, yeah.
Millennium Falcon, the Millennium Falcon. And there's your kids playing the roles. And then you have like a movie poster that you made up. That's pretty cool. That's to do this on like no budget, right?
Zero, yeah.
Zero budget.
Well, here's the thing. We've made our costumes out of stuff we had around the house.
Right.
Our holsters, our drill holsters that I had, and really cool. And also I made the guns with spray paint, squirt guns, and flashlight parts. Because I didn't want to like go nuts and buy a bunch of props if it's just a fun thing that Grandma's going to see. But the funny thing is, after making the first iteration of this, I started to meet cosplayers at Comic-Con. And I meet people and then I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of doing this, project with my kids, and I could really use some real stormtroopers or real actors, because right now I'm using these CG things and they look stupid.
Yeah.
And I would really like to, get some real people.
And they were into it.
I don't want to buy the costumes. What?
They were into it.
Are you kidding me? I mean, you want me to be in a Star Wars movie with my Star Wars costume that I've been working on? That's
beautiful,
for
man.
10 years?
It's like, yeah. For
So,
zero money.
Yeah.
Zero.
And I mean, I'm not getting paid anything, but so I would go over to their house. I bring my green screen, which is literally a sheet and a couple of lights, and shoot them in their backyard, hopping around. And a lot of these guys are wearing helmets and stuff, so I could voice over whatever they're gonna say, because once again, Star Wars dialogue is pretty easy to come by.
So I have a clip. I guess it's a trailer for the short film that you made. So let's take a look.
Okay.
You do understand the job. Half now, half on delivery. And no disintegrations.
What could go wrong, right?
Determine their last coordinates. I lost that ship!
Great. Gotta get out of here.
That's cool.
Which one did you look at? I can't see it.
Oh yeah, no, I know it's just a Zoom call. It was there was a desert scene. There was in the beginning. There was a flyover. There was a stormtrooper. I believe that.
Yeah,
it looked like a stormtrooper. Yeah, no, I mean
that was Boba Fett.
What's that?
Boba Fett, the bounty hunter.
Oh, okay.
Talking to the little guy in the robe.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So,
so yeah, I mean, you got the lightsabers and all that. I mean, you
you might know. Well, here's the thing. I finished it in 2016. You know, my ham-fisted version. You know, I'm not a VFX artist. I just, like I said, I found green screen animated ships online, and that was, you know, the extent of my abilities. And and then, you know, if I needed clouds, I went out and I shot clouds. You know, because the clouds. But after I put it online, a VFX artist from Brazil got a hold of me. He's now in London, and he works on major motion pictures. And he's like, I love your story. I've always wanted to work on a Star Wars fan film, but I just don't know anybody that's that into it. I would love to fix your god awful special effects because they're pretty bad. And
so pro bono, huh? He just
yeah. I mean, I actually sent him a few $100 here and there, but he's like, "What are you sending me money for?" I'm like, "Well, I feel like I want you, you know, to feel like I'm taking you seriously." Or
right.
No, don't do that. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a slow process. He's finished maybe 50-60% of it, but he's got a lot to go. And, you know, and he's one of those guys that when he gets an assignment, he disappears, you know, because his head is in his computer, and he's on like these teams of 1,000 people that you see at the end of a movie, you know, where they list all the VFX artists, and it's like 3,000 people, you know. And so he'll disappear for months at a time.
Wow.
And then one day I'll get a couple of new shots, you know, because he's just basically copying what I did, but making it look
that's
real.
great. I mean, you know, he took the time and he's doing that for nothing, you know, for the love of the film and for love of the whole these fan based things.
And the people that volunteered to be in it, you know, were so excited. You know, and I was so excited to have them because it's like, oh, it's the real deal,
right?
You know, and you know, and they have thousands and thousands of dollars invested in this stuff. And one of the guys,
my God, some of the elaborate costumes. I mean, just to dress up for these movie premieres, it just blew me away. I mean,
all the lights work,
like Darth Vader outfits, and I mean the whole 9 yards.
And there's a community of people that make R2D2s. They work.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
I've seen those. Amazing.
And we had one of those.
Well, let's get back to the chats. So Billy wants to know what's your favorite actor, director / DP, or separate?
One of my favorite directors is David Fincher, Fight Club.
Yeah.
Mindhunter, which is on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
He is just so interesting and has so many tricks to kind of draw yourself into the shot, you know, into the mundane and make it amazing. You know, I mean, of course, there's Lucas, Spielberg, and you know all the old favorites, and Ridley
those are the
Scott.
easy ones.
Those are the easy ones. But I really enjoy. You know, a lot of stuff that is trying to say something,
right?
But is trying to say something without being too wordy. But at the same time, like in Mindhunter, for instance, they have like 15-minute scenes that's an interrogation, you know, of a guy interviewing a dude, and it's riveting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, it's like listening to Morgan Freeman read. You know,
I know.
You'll stick around.
Yeah, just listen to that guy all day long.
Yeah, and actually, what's been going on the past couple of years with Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and all these different players pumping money into production, they're kind of doing the BBC model. Anything on BBC is going to be primo. It's the best of the best, because when you buy a TV or a radio in Britain, part of that money goes to the BBC, and they use that money to make programming.
I see.
They don't have to raise it some other weird way when the money's tied to, you know, some jerk that wants a thing from Coca-Cola. Then Coca-Cola comes in and tells
Don't we have that with the PBS? Don't we have that with PBS?
Yeah. Well, PBS is bare bones. They don't have any money.
I know.
But the BBC, which is where most of your PBS content comes from, they pour a ton of money into their stuff, like Sherlock. Episodes of Sherlock. They're hour-and-a-half episodes, but they only do like 3 a year because they're like full-on movies. They're not just easy episodic. And they're really, 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 really well written. They
you got
audience.
At least one fan. R.A. Buzz says a great clip. He enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
So let's
That's
move
an older
on.
one. Maybe you'll play a new one.
What's that?
I said that's an older one. Maybe you will play a newer one.
Well, that's the one I had in the hopper. And,
all right.
So
but,
I had to play that one. I mean, I don't have any commercial breaks that I could do.
Oh, okay. I wanted to touch back on what you were asking about the George Lucas as far as copyright and everything.
Yeah.
Basically, he says, make what you like as long as it's not offensive and you're not making any money on it. But since Disney bought them, I think those rules might be changing a little bit. But I know it's hard you can't really use the music. You can, but you'll be restricted in where you show it. So music is the hard part, because the music for Star Wars is hugely important, but obviously you can't really mine too much of the John Williams library too much because it's copywritten.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the music you can find, unfortunately, sounds like bad Princess Bride music sometimes.
Yeah.
With the keyboard instruments and but sometimes you get lucky, and I've had a couple of composers that want to make stuff for it once it's done.
I mean, here at the Buzz Talk Live studio, I'm on zero budget myself, and I try to find that the right clip, and it's difficult, but they're out there. They're out there.
Yeah.
So you've been working on, or you have been working, or it's the cop series that you're.
My father had a really interesting life as a homicide detective, and he always had really, really, really good stories that were usually hilarious. And he worked really hard to keep people out of the system, out of jail. And he did a lot of what you call street justice, or working with people on the street to prevent crimes. And he had a lot of ears on the ground because he treated people really well, he wanted to keep people out of the system, because once a lawyer gets a hold of a case, then they manipulate it.
Yeah, sure.
And if they get the name of your informant, then they do what's called burning your snitch, where they bring in your snitch and make them testify, and then their life's in danger, and you lost your informant because now they don't trust you anymore because they think you turned them over. So, and all the cops couldn't understand why he had all the information, because people, trusted him.
How many years did he spend on the force?
Like 25, I think.
Oh.
He
must have seen a lot of stuff.
A lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, but it was pretty tame until, crack cocaine hit the streets, and then things kind of went off the rails, people killing each other over drugs and stuff. But, usually people just killed each other for good reasons, like, money or jealousy or whatever.
So I do have a clip. I want to play it. It's you're setting up an interview with him.
Yeah.
And then there's another scene. I guess that's you playing him as a younger cop or detective.
Well, the whole idea is when I was writing it, I wrote it, and I finished it in like 2011-ish. And I wanted to make a couple of materials that would kind of show the era a little bit for trying to pitch it.
Sure.
Because I figured as soon as I wrote it, getting into the pitch room would be easy. So I wanted to have some materials because, that's stuff I know how to do. And my neighbor had a couple of old cars, like 1967 Chevelles or something like that.
Yeah.
He let me use them. So
Ah, look at you. You're getting all these favors, huh? Well,
Yeah,
look at you.
well, hey,
that's
you
what
gotta
you
be
got to do.
scrappy, man.
Exactly.
Well,
That's what
because
we
all the
did. That's what we
filmmakers are
did
like,
back
"Oh,
then.
we can't do a period piece." You know how much cars cost? It's
Oh,
like,
forget
don't
about
worry
it.
about
Forget
it.
about it.
You know?
All right, let's take a look.
All right.
Okay.
Can we talk during this?
Just gonna start out. I'm gonna get really general.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Just fire away. I'm ready.
Do you have levels? You checking all that? Yep. And do you have levels also? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Dad.
Boy, there's a lot to this bin, ain't
And
it?
your focus is on me. You're looking at me the whole
I'm
time.
looking at you the whole time.
I mean,
Okay.
you could just don't look at the lens. Just talk to me.
I'll talk to you. I'm not looking at the lens.
Okay.
I'm a movie star now.
Oh boy, watch out.
Oh, I can't wait. Can I have a copy of this? Take it around to all the producers in Wilmington?
What was it like being a cop? And was it everything you hoped it would be?
Oh, yes, and more.
Wait, one thing. When I ask a question, though, can you use the question in your answer? Like, I like being a cop because, just 'cause we're not going to hear me. So if I ask you what color the sky is, you don't say just blue. You say, I think the color of the sky is blue. So it's a complete thought.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's start again. What was it like being a cop, and was it everything you hoped for?
Saved a lot of people. The ones that were shot or in an accident and bleeding like crazy and would have died if I hadn't been there. Waiting for the EMTs to come. So I made a big difference in a lot of people's lives. I delivered a baby in the back of a Ford station wagon, and they named the baby after me. No, I didn't become a cop to help people. I became a cop because I'd always wanted to be a cop, and cops had an exciting life. It was a lot of fun, really, when I first started out. But you make a lot of difference. You save lives here and there,
The minute you mention Mickelson, whoop, all the smiles come over. This is beyond friends. This, if anything, closer than brothers. This is my number one friend, my number one brother. Believe that.
We had a code, we had everything go. That was great. He cleared a lot of crime in this city right here.
Right.
We had to go down road to everybody.
Line like hell.
Did I sell myself for this feeling so long ago? Did I give my heart for that waste of time? I'm not asking for much. Don't hide me. And you wonder on my heart. Did I sell my soul for that feeling? You know, our yesterday was love. I can't keep thinking I was right.
Take two, sync. All right, Dad. Let's talk about. That was good. Talk about the getting shot in the leg bit.
Oh, well, let me see. My partner and I had just left headquarters. We made arrests, and we were detectives in plain clothes. And we heard that they got this van on a corner of Goodman and Bay Street. And they had the van that had been going around robbing Halloween parties all night long. And two cops had pulled the van over, and when the cops got out of the car and approached the van, they started shooting at them. And the only injury was one cop had his little finger blown off, and of course they dove under the cars and started shooting back at him. And when my partner and I pulled up, we were the second car, so they started shooting at us, and both my partner and I jumped under the car. Of course, we shot at them, and within 20 seconds there was 20 police cars there. They were all over the place. And there were 3 of them that got killed and 2 got wounded. So we got out from underneath the car, and the boss, who was a captain, came up to me and my partner Lenny and said, "You guys go to the hospital and start taking reports of all the injuries and everything." So we go to the hospital, and I'm driving the car, and we got what we call a map light. You turn it on, and it shines down so you can write on your radio log, you know, where you're going and where you were. And my partner looked over and he says, "Hey, your leg's bleeding." I said, "Where?" He said, "Right there, up on your SI." I said, "Geez, there's a hole there, right here." So I put my finger in the hole, and I put my finger in the hole and held it in the hole to stop the blood until I got to the hospital. And the doc took the bullet out and said I was lucky because it was a ricochet off another cop's gun off the road. If it hadn't been a ricochet, it had gone through my femur artery and I'd have been dead by the time I got to the hospital. Didn't know. That was scary, but I didn't even know I got hit. The adrenaline was pumping and I had no pain, no nothing. It just the adrenaline. Once your adrenaline gets pumping, you can take a lot. Not even know it. Yeah. That was really something. Wasn't even scared because I didn't even know it.
What year was that?
That was 1978. October, Halloween of 1978. Halloween night, in fact.
Wow, that's some story. I mean, that's a series that you guys.
Well, I wrote it as a feature, you know, a 120-page script and a follow-up episode, but I think I'm going to break it up into 3 episodes. I was talking to a writer buddy of mine and acquaintance, and he's like, "You should probably break it up into 3 episodes. It'll be a lot easier
There's
for
a
you."
lot of content. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, because everyone's desperate for
hundreds
content.
of stories,
exactly.
and he's so raw. I mean, you know, you just. I gotta ask, was that whiskey he was drinking?
Scotch.
Scotch, of course.
Yeah, the more scotch, the more stories come out. You know.
Well, there you go. I mean,
that's how you make it happen.
Matt, I forgot to tell you, I encourage drinking on Buzz Talk Live. That's how I keep my conversations going. No, I'm kidding, of course, but I'm serious.
No, man, you gotta grease the wheels, man. If you
do.
You
know.
No, but my
the
whole
squeaky
thing,
wheel gets the oil there. They say.
Yeah.
But no, that's pretty interesting. That how you piece that together, and
Well, I wanted to give a vibe for the era, and I found this song by Telepop Music. I got nailed for it on YouTube, but they
and
do this.
I will
thing.
too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I gotta rejigger that whole thing, but I haven't really been able to touch the material for a couple of years because my dad passed in 2015, and I haven't really been able to revisit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until recently, but that song, it you know, it sounds like it's on the radio, but then they change the equalization on it, and it opens up, and it sounds like it's in a big ballroom. You know.
Right.
And plus, his buddy Ray plays the trumpet in the same key as the song, so that's him actually playing, and it matches the song. You know.
Oh, that's cool. And that's still copyrighted issues, huh?
Yeah, well, just with that song, I just have to re-edit that piece, and you know, I mean that's easy enough. But yeah, I mean, there's some really, really good, amazing stories in there, and I know what I want it to look like. You know, especially after Mad Men. You know, Mad Men kind of nailed the era. So did Mindhunter is in the same era. The FBI used to call my dad all the time because he was really good at getting people to confess. you know,
Is that
because
right? He had that
he
knack,
was
huh?
that nice, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't get anybody. You don't if you're a what a lot of people don't understand is if you bully somebody, they're not going to want to be.
Yeah, they're just going to clam up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to
You know,
use
I mean-
reverse psychology. My mother used it on me quite often.
Still, your whole life.
Oh yeah, spill the beans every single time.
George.
Oh my God! I think I should do it. I think I should do a show, confessions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Blade Runner, fan film short.
Yeah.
I remember when you used to do some stuff when we were working together, and you used to. A matter of fact, I remember specifically one show. You took out your camera and you were just filming the elevators of the Marriott Marquis going up and down because they were outside elevators and they had this bubble effect and it really looked cool.
Yeah.
But you would just, and I was like, what are you doing? I mean, what are you, a tourist? And he's like, no, I'm, doing this film, And you didn't really get into it. And then until later on, you kind of told me what you were working on. And I thought that was pretty cool. And so how did you,
Well, and actually MasterCard did a commercial where they visit a Comic-Con and they use the same elevators.
No. Seriously?
Yes. Like 2 years after I put this out, so they totally copied me. Because this thing had like 200,000 views, No, back in like 2008, we were shooting a Food Network thing up on the 50th floor of Building 7 in at the World Trade Center. And I don't know if you were on that job, but
I don't remember that one. No.
During sunset, the buildings right outside were the pyramid, top of the financial center, and the dome.
Right.
And when the sun would set in between them, it looked like Blade Runner, like the Terrell
that's
Court.
Cool.
You know what I mean? And I got my camera one day and just shot a few things in there. Just so I didn't forget what it looked like, because getting back in those buildings is
no, I know
happen,
that's one and done. Yeah, with the security and everything.
And they don't care what you're working on unless you throw a lot of money at them. You're not getting in.
Yeah.
So it started germinating this whole concept of what happens 10 years later, and just all these scenarios and script points started coming to me as far as what would make sense. Just like Star Wars, there's a sensible timeline for the thing to go. There's only so many stories, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And if you have the basis, like a spine of a decent story, you could always put in weird turnarounds or whatever, I mean, that's kind of trickery. But
I have a few pictures that I'm showing of you holding a gun and just some scenes, some snapshots from the short that you made.
Yeah, and I just re-edited something with some trailer music that I sent you last night. I was wondering if you're going to play that, but
I don't know. I might. I have two in the hopper here.
I kind of like it. It kind of inspired me. You re-inspired me to make something. But
hey,
see, the thing is that I started going with this idea, and it turned out that one of my cosplay buddies who makes special effects, he worked on that first that Shane video with the pitching Lucas.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Right. And he's got a house full of fake guns, and he builds them from scratch, or he collects them.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
From movies. He builds those guns from Aliens, the movie.
Yeah.
And now he's in Georgia working special effects on The Walking Dead or something, I think.
Oh, nice.
And he lent me
another favor.
Yeah, another favor. I need a favor.
I need a favor.
But he lived over in Long Island, but he had the Blade Runner pistol. And I'm like,
nice.
Can I borrow that? And he's like, sure, here, And actually we shot in his apartment or his house. The bathroom scenes of them looking at a crime scene. That's his house.
Oh wow.
Um,
All right, let me run the. I have two. I'm gonna run the trailer first.
All right, they're all trailers, aren't they?
I know. All right, here we go.
Okay, because there's different iterations.
You bet she won't live. But then again, who does?
All of a sudden, you look down and you see a tortoise.
It's a tortoise.
A new life awaits you in the
You have quite the reputation.
Really? By who?
Everyone.
Come 320 to 620. Stop. Come right. Hands.
You know, they say that this guy, they say he can spot a replicant by just talking to him.
You know we're following you. Don't do anything stupid.
I would say you're less human than human.
It's a matter of opinion.
The way you laid that skin job out on the street, I'd say you miss your calling.
You're more machine than anything we make. You're told to kill, and you do it without question. What do you want, Mr. Deckard?
Drink. Besides, I'm retired.
All those weapons are definitely not worth.
You look just like her.
Yeah, I mean, that's that was pretty cool. I mean,
Which one was it?
Oh, that was the one where I think that your kids were in it. Yeah, the little girl.
Oh yeah, you know what? Oh man, that version I kind of took down. I meant to send you a different version. I'm sorry.
It looked good to me.
No, but the whole thing with the kids, one of the plot points was that they started making robot replicant kids.
Oh.
But they were still eliminating them the same way as they did the adult ones, which to anyone with half a brain would say that's not good,
right?
Because, they shoot them,
Right.
if they get off grid or whatever, so, because to the Blade Runners or the detectives, the robots are like toasters. They don't care,
Yeah.
But
as far as the I saw there was a scene in Manhattan. And then the actual Blade Runner vehicle.
Yeah.
That was is that just
actually
footage, or was that? How did you do that?
A guy in Toronto, VFX artist, once again. I saw his shots online, and I called him, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm doing this little Blade Runner project," and as far as fan films, Blade Runner fan films, there's not many out there, and what's out there are pretty bad. At the time that I was doing this, some have come out,
and you can pull off the character of a young Harrison Ford for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the VFX, the guy had a couple of shots that he made for fun, and I'm like, dude, can I use them? And he's like, no, I don't really do that. And people have contacted me before, and their projects are stupid, and I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'll send you a couple of scenes, and then you could get back to me. And I sent him that scene that was shot in that loft with the lights,
right,
the girl. Who's a director friend of mine, and she's a really, really good actress, Jessica Hester. She's a local filmmaker here. And her sister is a movie makeup artist, and she actually worked on Sean Young the day before and did her eyebrows. So that's why she looks kind of like Sean Young, because she has the same eyebrows.
You know, now that you brought up eyebrows, I gotta. While I was researching this whole project, Matt.
You're researching?
Well, researching the clips that I was playing and everything, and doing the whole thing, and I noticed there was something that was popping up on Google and it said Matt Mickelson's eyebrows. What? I don't know.
I don't.
But
I
it was
don't
up
know.
there.
Is there a subculture of like
I don't
eyebrow?
know. I think you
perverts
got
or
a fan following of eyebrows. Your
Oh,
eyebrows.
okay.
Just saying.
So what did you find?
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at the second one. Oh my God.
That's a first. I have an eyebrow fan page or network.
Yellow 3. Time of maintaining 4,000.
The second time in 2 days, someone I don't know has tried to kill me. It had become obvious there's more to this than I was told. Tyrell had some explaining to do. Both of them. The smart move at this point would be to leave town, reassess, think. I have one more stop to make. I can see why she made Rachel so special. She was one of a kind. I didn't feel right leaving her behind. She had no idea what she was getting herself into. All I wanted to do was to keep her safe. I don't think I could stand to lose her twice. Besides, this could be good for me. A second chance.
I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
That was like almost like a two-parter or something.
Is it me? Or is it just someone named Matt Mickelson talking about their eyebrows?
You're actually looking it up. I don't know. I don't know.
All I can find was stuff on Phil Mickelson, so he's the only famous person
no,
with the
they
same
talk
name
about his
spelling.
calves. Phil Mickelson's calves. That's what they talk about with him.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean that again. I don't know what came first or what came second, but I think the effects got a little better as this progressed in the Blade Runner stuff.
Well, I mean, the cool thing is that Times Square, New York City, looks like the set from the actual movie. On
I know.
steroids.
It's like perfect, man.
All you got to do is turn the camera on and
Square
run
is
around.
lit.
Good.
It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, it really is.
And the effect shots he gave me was the car landing and the blimp. And the blimp I could put anywhere.
And the rain and the rain worked really well with the whole. That's great.
But unfortunately, in 2013, I got a call from Warner Brothers, and they're like, "We really like your movie. It's so good that people think you're us, and we're gearing up to do a Blade Runner sequel, and we need you to stop, or we're going to take your house." But the lawyers are just kind of feeling me out to see if I was going to be trouble or not. And, and so that kind of put me in a position of, well, do I really want to finish this thing that I know that isn't mine? And in hindsight, I just should have called it something else and moved on and made it. But at the time, I was just too busy to monkey with it. And then I lost interest.
Sure.
And then the kids brought the Star Wars thing to me. So, I mean, I would have liked to have finished it, and they actually did kind of help themselves to a few of my ideas. I was totally willing to I'm like, I'll come in, to the studio and help out for very little money.
Yeah.
And, I'm happy, I'd be happy to work on this thing, but they had this ad campaign where they just didn't want to tell anybody about it. And they didn't talk to their fan base or anything to spread the word. They're trying to keep it secret, and it failed because no one knew about it. They didn't know why they should be going to see it.
An earlier tweet came in. I think it was also from Billy. What do you enjoy in your role as an actor, writer, DP, or director? What do you enjoy best? Acting, writing?
Well, I enjoy the process of making a thing from start to finish. Sometimes as an actor, you're just walking into someone's project for a couple of days. You say your lines, and they send you off. And maybe a couple of years later, you'll see what you did. But if you're directing or if you're the DP, you're kind of in it for the long haul, and you have a lot more control on how things turn out. And if it's your own project, you have all the control on how things turn out.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So a lot of clients that I have, that I make little documentaries for and stuff like that, I kind of have carte blanche to be able to tell their story, because they're trying to appeal to an audience to raise money so they can keep doing what they're doing,
So the last clip I have, and it's a good lead into that, and it's a movie that I think were you the DP on it in Ireland?
Yeah.
And oddly enough, it's called Ronin Chronicles.
Yeah, I know.
What's going on there with the Chronicles stuff? I
don't know. I guess it's an easy word to go to that means story, that doesn't say the word story. I don't know. Because I couldn't think of anything either, so Chronicles sounded good to me. I wish I could have found something catchier, but, then you're just losing people.
Well, it could be a working title.
Yeah.
When was that? When was that made?
Gosh, I think it was 2016. Maybe.
Okay.
They flew me to Ireland for a few days, and it was really cool. And worked with a New York director, and she and I got along like peas and carrots. And we didn't even have to talk to each other. We just knew where we had to be and be there. And
that's cool.
And it was this guy that had this, he's a writer, and he had this spy story that he wanted to do. And he's trying to put together also these series of master classes for different writers and get a few narrative projects off the ground. And this is one of the first iterations of that. We also did some shoots in Malaga, Spain, interviewing and building videos with some famous writers, and and also shooting some action scenes, that kind of correlate with that,
well, when you have the backdrop of Ireland, it's priceless. So let's take a look.
Well, everywhere you look, it's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, I know. I know. Let's
I've been here before with her. History repeating. And it always ends up like a Charlton Heston disaster movie. I know. Maybe Thelma and Louise. Because in the former they usually survive. Well, my name is Ray Ronan. Yeah, I'm a successful author, living the dream. Some might call it a nightmare. I first met her when she arrived on my doorstep, with my books tucked under her arm and the covers bulging from all the post-it notes. Joe Conway, investigative reporter with a reputation for disaster. To suddenly find yourself flung into a moment, a scene from one of your books.
Move in as close as you can.
Those moments when you feel like someone's watching you.
I want to expose these people in the media.
Looking over your shoulder.
Come this way.
We're all watched. By electronic eyes, human eyes, eyes not so human. If you have the idea for it, and I do now, you would hear the preternatural chatter, and they're saying, this is not going to end well.
Closing in. It's work.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of by the seat of our pants a little bit too. Um, but I was introduced to him from a fashion designer that I met, Jacqueline Quinn. She's Irish also. I'm kind of hooked up with this whole Irish syndicate.
Yeah. Well, I got Mickelson going in on the.
Well, there's this advertising
That's a straight
guy.
flush, you know.
Exactly, exactly. There's this advertising guy in the city that puts together these networking events, I guess you call them, and he's very Irish, and very Irish people show up to his events, and so I got plugged into these creative types, and yeah, it's been great. We still stay in touch, and
that's cool.
And whenever anything comes up, we can work on together. We're there.
So what do you got next, Matt? I mean, obviously we're still not working here,
Yeah.
but are you creating some stuff while you're locked down, or?
Yeah, well, actually, right before lockdown, we were supposed to start shooting episode 2 of the Han Solo Chronicles.
Oh.
And I had to cancel it, because we were slated to start shooting on March 28th in Pennsylvania. There's a location that has this whole desert thing going on, and plus it's near where Chewbacca and C-3PO live, and like we were going to have like 30 stormtroopers, and we blow some stuff up, and
nice.
We were I purchased our hotel rooms, and and had the town was going to bring us some porta potties, and we were all set, and then I had to pull the plug on it, and also the VFX artist was going to come and stay with me. Because he wanted to see New York City and see some relatives, so he was going to come do our shoot for a couple of days and do some of his magic there, where the VFX guy has to run around with some 3D ball thing to get a lay of the land and record some stuff. It's all witchcraft to me, but
yeah. Well, that's good.
So that was going to be great because I never met the guy in person, but. So that is on the back burner until this whole thing.
Yeah, until we go back, huh? Sooner than later.
Yeah,
I tell you.
And I'm just picking up some freelance gigs here and there. I just did the Arts Westchester fundraiser gala.
Right, I saw that. Yeah,
where we did an online thing to try and make it look like
that's what
like
I've been doing.
Jerry
Lewis
Lewis
stuff.
telethon.
Yeah.
You
gotta, it's and not to talk about how virtual compares to meeting someone and shaking their hands, but there's just no comparison.
No, not at all.
Unfortunately, the industry that we're in, live events, is going to be the last to go back in this whole.
Well, it requires people to be very close to each other.
Yes.
Concerts, events.
Yes.
Even on films. You got 100 people behind the camera running around trying.
Although I think I heard something that Hollywood is going to be starting up again. They're going to be doing some studio stuff. That's what I heard anyway. I don't know how true it is, but
well, I mean, they're talking about small crews. In the studio, I guess it might be easy to socially distance and keep your mask on, and
right.
I mean, but it's just such a weird thing, and
it is,
and you never know if you're being too careful or careful enough. And
well, one thing's for sure, Matt, when we do go back, we're going to appreciate it every freaking day. I can't wait to see you again and work with you.
Yeah, it'll be great. I'm psyched. Yeah. But this has been nice though to connect with some folks that some that you don't know, and at least we have this. At least
we have this.
It's better than a phone call. You get to watch people and you get to see their expressions. And I've been able to really spend some ample time with my family, because sometimes, in Freelanceville, you get a string of a week or something where you have no work for no particular reason in the world. It's not you. You think it's you, but
Yeah.
But then you feel bad. Oh, I'm home. I'm spending time with my kids. I should be out there making bucks. And
right.
But sometimes maybe you should just slow down and
Appreciate the
whether
time
you're
that
making money or
spending.
not, because
Right.
you can't buy the time back.
No, you can't.
You know, I got a kid going to college in a month, and if I didn't have ample time to see her grow up, I would never forgive myself.
Sure.
You
Sure.
know, and she'd probably be a different kid too. So I've been very lucky in my non abrasive children department. So.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for being part of the show tonight and dropping in and telling us your story and what you're working on. I really appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You got it. All right. Oh, boy. Matt was great tonight.
Are we clear?
Yeah, you're still here. Yeah. I'm just in another camera.
Okay.
And that's it. That's all we have for tonight. Thanks for hanging in there. And thanks for watching. And good night, America.
Bye.